Picture the moment you decide to buy. You are standing in the dealer lot, the paperwork sitting on the hood, and part of what you are about to pay for is a feeling. One word: American. The greenest, most trusted name on that lot is John Deere, and you assume a machine like that gets built by folks a few states over. So here is the question that should stop your pen before it ever touches the line. Is the tractor you are about to buy even made in this country? And stranger still, is the brand you trust the most the one telling you the truth? Begin with Deere, because the answer catches people off guard. A 1025R runs you about $19,000. And yes, the engine bolted inside it is a Japanese Yanmar. But the tractor itself gets built in Augusta, Georgia. Green paint, American plant. John Deere, it turns out, is not the one lying to you. Which leaves a much better question. If the brand you would have bet against is the honest one, then who is faking it? And why does the lie land in your wallet? That American badge does real work. It buys your trust, and trust carries a price. You pay a little more and you feel a little safer because the flag on the hood tells you where your money is going. Except on some of the most patriotic names in the business, that flag is pointing at the wrong country. By the end of this, the most American name on the whole lot is going to turn out to be one of the least American machines you can buy. And you are going to learn the one label to read before you sign. The trick works like this, and none of it is against the law. There are two phrases the rules treat in very different ways, and the gap between them is where the money hides. To stamp a machine made in USA, a company has to clear a high bar. The Federal Trade Commission says all or virtually all of it has to be American. The parts, the labor, the guts. That rule got tightened back in 2021, and breaking it gets expensive. But there is a softer phrase that sounds almost the same to a tired buyer at the end of a long day. Assembled in USA. That one is a loophole you could drive a loader through. A company can ship in a machine packed with foreign parts, turn the last few bolts on this side of the ocean, and stamp assembled in USA right on the side. And now the part that should bother you. It does not have to tell you where any of those parts came from. The Federal Trade Commission even drew the line with a picture anybody can follow. Take a box of foreign parts and turn one screw here, and no, you cannot call it American. Turn enough screws, and now you can. Same box of parts, same tractor. The one thing that changed is which side of the world the last screwdriver was standing on, and how much the badge lets them charge you for it. Hold on to that screwdriver, because three famous names are about to fail this test in three different ways. Start at the bottom of the list with a brand you have seen plastered across the rural South. Mahindra. Their whole pitch is stars and stripes. Mahindra USA, a big yard down in Houston. Red, white, and blue on every banner. And a proud line about being the biggest selling tractor brand on the planet by volume. And to be fair to them, there is real work happening in Texas. The final assembly is here. So why do they land on this list at all? Because assembly is the end of the story, not the start of it. The company is Mahindra, and it is Indian, run out of Mumbai. Their engineering, their design, their profit. The components arrive built and boxed. And at the end of every sale, that profit gets on a plane and flies home. What you are buying is an Indian machine that spends its last hour on an American assembly line, sold to you with an American accent. It is the narrowest gap on this whole list, and it is still wide enough to matter, because the flag on that banner is doing a job the factory cannot back up. Mahindra sits at the mildest end of this list. It gets worse from here, and the next name has been trading on American history for more than a century. The name on the next tank is one of the oldest in American farming, McCormick. If you know your history, you know it cold. Cyrus McCormick built the mechanical reaper, the invention that put American agriculture on the map. His company became the backbone of International Harvester. That name is stitched straight into the story of how this country learned to farm. So when you see McCormick on a red tractor today, every instinct you have says heartland, says heritage, says home. Now look at where that tractor comes from. It gets built in Fabrico, Italy. It has been built in Italy since 2007. The brand belongs to an Italian company called Argo, which turns it out right alongside its Italian cousins. There's nothing American left in it but the name on the side, and the name is the whole point. This is a sharper kind of gap than Mahindra. Mahindra at least assembles here. McCormick took one of the founding names of American farming, shipped the entire operation across the Atlantic, and kept charging you for the history lesson. You are buying an American legend bolted onto an Italian machine. And if you figure a name that old could not be gaming a modern label law, hold on, because the biggest name in this whole business just got caught doing that very thing. Now we reach the part where people realize this is not a gray area or a matter of opinion. It is the law. It gets enforced, and one of the biggest penalties in the history of that law landed right here in the tractor world. In late January of 2024, the Federal Trade Commission came down on Kubota. $2 million, the largest made in USA, fine the agency had handed out to that day. And I want to be careful and clear here, because this one matters. Kubota did not get fined for lying about its tractors. It got fined for its replacement parts. Thousands of parts made overseas, start to finish, sitting on shelves in boxes stamped Made in USA. The company had moved that manufacturing offshore and left the old American labels on the packaging. Now the twist that makes it hit even harder. Kubota is not some fly-by-night badge. It builds more machine on American soil than almost anyone in this whole story, which is the reason the fine is such a gut punch. And it was not even a first offense. The Federal Trade Commission went after Kubota once before, back in 1999, over the very same kind of claim. So think about what that tells you. If the biggest, most established name on the lot will put a false American label on a box of bolts and eat a $2 million fine for it, then ask yourself one plain thing. How much is the badge on the hood worth? Which brings us, at last, to the most American picture in the entire industry. There is no machine that looks more like rural America than a Bobcat. It was born in Gwinner, North Dakota, a small town out on the northern plains. It has been on every ranch, at every county fair, in the back of every farm supply parking lot for generations. If somebody asked you to draw American iron, you would draw a Bobcat. Now look at who owns it. A South Korean company called Doosan bought Bobcat back in 2007 in a deal worth $4.9 billion. Not a stake, not a partnership, the whole thing. That North Dakota icon has been Korean-owned for the better part of 20 years. And the compact tractor wearing the Bobcat name on the lot today? Look under the paint. It is a Daedong, engineered and built by one of the largest tractor makers in South Korea, wearing a North Dakota nameplate on the front. The Prairie Town on the badge, a Korean machine under the hood, made in Korea, and the proof that the badge is the product sits right under the paint. The Bobcat compact on that lot, the CT 2025, is the same machine as the Coyote CK 2610. The same Daedong build, the same 1.6-liter Daedong engine, the same 24.5 horsepower, the same frame down to the last pound. Bobcat bolts its own loader on the front and its own name on the hood. But the tractor underneath is Korean, and so is the one the Coyote wears with no apology at all. Same machine, two nameplates. That North Dakota feeling is the one thing the Bobcat badge adds on top. And that feeling is what you are paying for. This is the widest gap on the entire list, and it is the one nobody sees coming, because Bobcat spent decades teaching you it was the most American thing in the shed. It is not that the machine is bad. Plenty of them work hard for their owners every day. It is that the story on the badge and the truth under the hood are two different countries, and you paid full price for the story. So after all of that, the question you came for: which compact tractor is the real one? Which badge, if you want honest American iron, earns the word? And here's the answer nobody at the dealership is going to volunteer. Almost none of them. Not one mainstream compact tractor in your price range clears that made in USA bar. Even the closest one to it, the Kubota plant down in Georgia that welds its own frames and does real fabrication, still drops in a Japanese engine and a Japanese transmission. Sit with that for a second. The most American assembly line in the entire class belongs to the exact company that just paid the biggest American-made fine in the country's history. There will never again be an all-American compact tractor built start to finish on this soil. That supply chain does not exist anymore. On the machine you are about to buy, the one part guaranteed to be all-American is the flag decal on the fender. Everything under it came from somewhere else. So let us get you back to that dealer lot, paperwork on the hood, and let us make sure you walk in with your eyes open. Two things. First, before you sign anything, find the build plate on the machine and read it, and then ask the salesman a plain question in writing if you can get it. What country is this tractor from, and what country is the engine from? Watch how fast a confident pitch turns into a shrug. Keep in mind the difference that whole industry is counting on you to miss. Assembled in USA is not made in USA. One of them means the machine is American. The other, in the government's own words, can mean somebody turned the last screw here and never breathed a word about the rest. If a dealer leans on the word American, make him show you the country of origin, not the marketing brochure. And second, and this is the one that saves you real money, stop paying for the flag. The badge on that hood does not dig a single post hole. It does not haul one load of gravel. What that decal does is let a brand charge you extra for a feeling, while the machine underneath came off the same kind of line as every competitor you talked yourself out of. So buy the tractor, not the story. The things that will cost you over the next 20 years are not painted on the hood. They are what the machine costs to own, and whether you can get a part when you are down in the middle of a job with the light fading. Judge the iron on that. Judge it on the dealer standing behind it and the parts shelf behind him, not on which country the marketing department decided to salute this season. The American badge is the easiest thing in this whole business to print, and the hardest thing to earn. Make them earn it before you pay for it. You came to that lot to buy a machine that earns its price every season. Read the plate, ask the question, and drive home the tractor that will still be running long after you have forgotten which country it flew in from.